It's hard to believe that 2018 is already over and done with, and in this past year, Redline has certainly made some pretty extensive changes and driven some really incredible cars. Now, in keeping with our tradition, we're going to be doing a year overview video where we talk about some of the best cars we've driven for 2018. Now, to do that, I'm going to actually break it down into subcategories, and I'm also going to put in a $50,000 price ceiling bracket, so that way this list isn't full of super exotic cars that nobody can afford. Now, unfortunately, these two beauties that you're seeing here, they sadly won't be making the list, but I also did that on purpose because I wanted to keep the, oh, you're biased because you own these cars comments down to a minimum. But this wouldn't be a Redline review if we didn't talk about, or if we didn't keep it real, so I'm also going to throw in a few of the worst cars I've driven for 2018, so get ready for this year-long flashback. So when you drive over 100 cars in a single year, choosing your favorite among all those vehicles is definitely not an easy proposition. I mean, I honestly had to go back and look through my old archive of videos to figure out exactly which ones were memorable to me. And that's really the thing that I tried to focus on, cars that were memorable to me. Cars that stuck with me, that I constantly just thought to myself, oh, I want to drive this car again because it was such a good car. Now, it would be really easy for me to just literally talk about all the exotic cars that I've driven this year. However, everybody knows that exotic cars are not exactly vehicles that sell in such huge numbers, so which is why I'm keeping this list to strictly under $50,000. And as you can see, I'm driving the long-term Tesla Model 3. I'm also going to keep this one and the Porsche off the list, simply because I own these vehicles and I don't like to particularly show any bias to any brand, even though these two vehicles that I purchased are cars that very much intrigue me, which is why I'm keeping them on a long-term basis. But getting this list started, I'm going to break it up into several different categories to talk about. We're going to talk about the best compact car, the best mid-size car, the best compact SUV, the best mid-size or family SUV, the best sports car, the best for cheap fun, and the overall best of the year, something that's just really stuck with me. So kicking off the list, I want to first talk about the best compact car for 2018, and that distinction goes to the 2019 Honda Insight. As you guys know, this car is based off of the Civic platform. It gets over 50 miles to the gallon. It also looks fantastic while doing so. It has a relatively useful back seat and trunk space, and it's a car that just doesn't look weird like its main rival, the Toyota Prius. In terms of acceleration, it's got 151 horsepower, very competitive acceleration, basically what you need for your daily commute, and it's also not going to break the bank, as you can easily get one for under $25,000. Now moving on, let's move on to the best mid-size car. Now obviously I could pick something like a Honda Accord or a Toyota Camry. However, I drove those vehicles technically last year. So the best mid-size car that I'm going to pick this year is the 2019 Kia Stinger. As you guys remember, I drove one earlier this year. The Stinger is not what you'd call a conventional mid-size car. On the outside, it is a mid-size car, but in terms of the space on the interior, it's a little bit more keen to a compact car, but that's okay with me because it's rear drive handling dynamics, it's powerful twin turbocharged 3.3 V6, available all-wheel drive or the standard rear-wheel drive, and that wonderful 8-speed transmission. It's a car that's consistently stuck with me, and for 2019, Kia has made a couple of changes with the addition of that Atlantica trim that I drove. It's still a really great car. If you guys are looking for a mid-size car that just kind of breaks the mold of a traditional family car, make sure you put the Stinger at the top of your list. Now moving on to the best compact SUV, this is literally the segment's best seller if you discount, or if you don't count pickup trucks, and that distinction goes to the all-new 2019 Toyota RAV4. Congrats Toyota on building one incredible SUV that literally delivers everything that you're basically looking for in a small SUV here in America. It's very fuel efficient with the hybrid getting over 40 miles to the gallon. It's got more power this year from both the hybrid and the gas powertrain. It's got a spacious, comfortable interior with lots of new tech features. It's got a rugged new design that is very handsome, I must say. The new RAV4 is just trickling into dealerships right now as of this filming, and Toyota has sold, or they're basically on track to sell well over 400,000 units. So if you guys are looking for a compact SUV, make sure you put that one at the very top of your list. Now moving on, if you guys need a little bit more space, let's talk about the best family SUV. Now obviously I drove a pretty good amount of family SUVs this year. There's a slew of new competitors. This is one of the hottest segments to play in, and that distinction this year goes to the all-new 2019 Subaru Ascent. The Ascent for me just strikes the best balance balance between comfort, between technology, between design, and value for money. There's a lot of vehicles in this segment that are just over $50,000 if you get a fully loaded model. Thankfully, the Ascent tops out at around $45,000. It's got room for either 7 or 8 passengers, plenty of storage solutions, plenty of technology. Subaru EyeSight, their driver assistance is standard, and that new 2.4-liter turbocharged Boxer engine also really delivers the power that you're looking for and the efficiency, and it's got a really great CVT transmission. As much as I dislike CVTs in that vehicle, it just simply works. So my viewpoint on the Ascent also isn't kind of unrecognized. If you guys are trying to buy one, dealers are literally charging sticker for them, at least in my DC area as we speak. So it's a hot car. It's a really great SUV if you guys are looking for that family vehicle. Now, enough about all those practical vehicles. Let's move on to something a little bit more fun. I want to talk about the best sports car you can buy for 2018. And honestly, there are so many good choices out there, but sports cars are very expensive. And since I have a $50,000 price bracket, really the refreshed sports car that I drove this year that has to win that award is the 2019 Mazda MX-5 Miata. I know it's a vehicle that not everybody can fit into, especially if you're over 6 feet tall, but you can't really deny just what this vehicle offers. It's such a fun vehicle to drive that it's got that new engine this year with the higher Redline 7,500 RPM, 181 horsepower. It's got that slick shifting 6-speed manual. You can put the top down, and you can get all this for under $30,000. So what's not to love about the new Mazda Miata? So really, if you guys are looking for that kind of a sports car, roadster type, that's kind of breaking the mold of what traditional or what everyone's buying nowadays, the Miata still represents one of the best vehicles in the segment. Now, moving on to something that is a little bit more practical. I'm going to call this basically the best cheap fun you can buy for 2018, and that distinction is going to go to the all-new 2019 Hyundai Veloster N. Now, previously, I never really cared for the Hyundai Veloster. It just kind of felt like a cheap Econobox that had an avant-garde design. The new one is far from that. Obviously, you've got that 2-liter turbocharged engine with 275 horsepower on the performance package and a really rambunctious exhaust note that would put a Honda Civic Type R to shame. Now, honestly, if this was last year, I probably would have picked the Type R, but at the price that Hyundai is charging for that Veloster N at under $28,000, it's a really big performance bang for your buck, and it still will deliver a back seat that is somewhat usable. It's got about 15.5 cubic feet of cargo space, and it's just wrapped in a fun, funky, attractive package that will seriously surprise you. If you guys have never driven a Hyundai product recently, or you've never thought of Hyundai in the performance division, they've been hiring the right people to really bring them into that new level, the new era, basically, where you can have a Hyundai hot hatch. It's the first ever Hyundai hot hatch, and they really have succeeded in delivering that. Now, before I get on to the best of the year, there's definitely a couple of honorable mentions I want to talk about. Now, in terms of crossovers, I really loved the 2019 Acura RDX. However, the RAV4 just, to me, offers a little bit, a lot of the same tech features as the Acura, but at a substantial price discount. But if you guys want, that premium brand name, I would definitely put the RDX with its 2-liter turbo and 10-speed auto. It delivers, a really great performance edge over the RAV4 because Toyota doesn't offer a turbo engine on the RAV4. If you guys are also looking to get that crossover SUV, but you don't want something that's that's super expensive, the new 2019 Mazda CX-5 Turbo, the signature version, delivers a lot of the speed that you get in the Acura, but you have the affordability of the RAV4. The only downside with the Mazda is it's a little bit smaller on the inside, so if you guys need all that cargo space, you may want to consider, looking at a lot of its competitors, but it delivers that luxury car feel at a more mainstream price tag, which is why I'm going to mention it as an honorable mention here. Now, moving on to another honorable mention, let's talk about the all-new Volvo S60 that I drove earlier this year. Loved that car, loved the design. Didn't really care for the Polestar version quite as much because it didn't really feel like a full-fledged Polestar for me. But if you guys are looking for something that is, an attractive, small, compact luxury sedan that delivers, some features you wouldn't expect, like massaging seats are available on that car. You could typically not get that before in that segment, and wrapped in a very attractive Swedish flair. The Volvo S60 or even the V60 wagon are basically top picks for me, so that's why I'm going to mention it as an honorable mention. And then finally, my last honorable mention I want to talk about is the 2019 Nissan 370Z Nismo. Now, I know that vehicle is old as dirt, but there was something about it that really just stuck with me. It's a car that reminds me of my childhood. You've got that high revving VQ V6 with a 6-speed manual. Now the Nismo version that I drove, I think is terrible value, but if you guys stick with just the base version of the 370Z, I think it will deliver a lot of it delivers a lot, especially if you guys are going to compare it to like a Subaru BRZ or a Toyota 86. I would much rather have the Nissan because of all the additional power it just gives you when you guys go for that package with, over 330 horsepower. So moving on to our best of the year, and this is definitely not an easy option for me to pick, or an easy, award to give out basically, but that distinction is definitely going to go to the 2019 Genesis G70. Now, this vehicle just won Motor Trend's Car of the Year for 2019. It's one killer sports sedan. I mean, it's got, basically everything you love about the Stinger, but it's wrapped in an even more attractive package for me. Now, you do lose the hatchback versatility, but what you gain back is a sports sedan that's even more focused. It's a value-packed sports sedan that comes with a killer warranty. It comes with the concierge service. I realize that Genesis is a new brand, but I really see a lot of great things coming for this brand in the coming years, especially when Genesis decides to finally introduce some SUVs. Love to see them do a high-performance N version of the G70, something that has another 100 horsepower versus the 365 that I drove in the 3.3T. But really, for me, the best of the year has to go to the Genesis G70, and I think that's a car that will be memorable in a lot of good ways. Once Genesis finally gets their act together with actually distributing the cars. That's the reason why you aren't seeing very many on the road, is because there aren't really a lot of Hyundai dealerships that are authorized to sell it, and at the last minute, Genesis decided they wanted to develop or bring out their own standalone dealerships to kind of make the brand even more of a higher, aspirational vehicle, which is kind of the right thing to do. They really need to do that with any luxury brand. I mean, Toyota or Lexus will tell you the same thing. Infiniti and Acura will tell you the same thing. But best of the year for 2018 definitely goes to the G70. If you guys are looking for an incredible sports sedan that's definitely breaking the mold, you should definitely put that one at the top of your list. So this wouldn't be a Redline video without me keeping it real. So of course, we're also going to talk about the vehicles that were the worst vehicles I drove for 2018. Now, worse is always kind of a tricky word to use. I'm gonna try going back and forth between saying that they need improvement, because these vehicles, while they were great first efforts from each of the manufacturer, they definitely aren't the top of the segment for me, at least in terms of driving dynamics, in terms of value, in terms of build quality, in terms of technology features. But let's get right to it. There are 6 vehicles that made this list, unfortunately. So I'm hoping that any manufacturer that made this list decides to make some improvements to these vehicles. So in the coming years, they'll be able to make the adjustments needed so they can be improved, and hopefully they can see their sales numbers increase. Now, first kicking off things, the first vehicle that makes this list is the 2018 Nissan Kicks. Now, I know this vehicle is really inexpensive. It's a lot cheaper than things like the Subaru Crosstrek, the Toyota CHR. It starts at just around $20,000. But to me, the car felt very inexpensive, from really the buzzy powertrain to the underpowered engine to the lackluster CVT to its tight interior. The Kicks did have a couple of positives in terms of really cool features it offered. I mean, I loved how you could get one fully loaded for like $22,000. That's where a lot of these other brands start. I think that Nissan really needs to work on addressing the engine, just because the old Juke had that turbo engine that was fantastic, whereas the Kicks just feels like a dog, and it's literally one of the slowest new vehicles you can purchase today in 2018. The next vehicle to make this list is the 2018 Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross. Now, you guys remember my review of the Eclipse Cross. I said that it was basically a decent SUV if it was just named the Mitsubishi Outlander Sport. The problem is the Eclipse name in there. Now, the other main issue I have with the Eclipse, besides the design, is the powertrain of that vehicle. It's got a 1.5-liter turbo, kind of similar to what Honda puts in the CR-V, but before you think it's a CR-V in the way it drives, it isn't. It's a very laggy turbocharged engine. It's a very snooze-fest CVT, and the vehicle just didn't feel very sporty. It had very light, numb, uncommunicative steering. The tech in it was definitely improved by Mitsubishi standards, but the rest of the industry has definitely just moved farther ahead. And Mitsubishi, I know they're trying, but the Eclipse Cross is definitely a vehicle that is indeed rough around the edges, and fully loaded versions can easily top, you know, $32,000, which is again another big problem with that SUV. It just is too expensive for what Mitsubishi gives you. Now, the next vehicle to make this list, before you guys think I'm going to be bashing all of the inexpensive cars, this next one is definitely not inexpensive by any means. This is the 2019 Infiniti QX50. Now, the all-new QX50, we've been waiting for that car for quite some time now, and I have to say I was very disappointed with the new version. The new version just didn't offer the kind of performance I was expecting it to. The old one had, you know, very high standards with the, you know, VQ engine. It just sounded great. It was basically like a raised up Infiniti G wagon. The new one, they improved a lot with the fuel economy. They improved a lot with the interior space and the practicality, but they replaced it with a laggy CVT that really didn't bring out the best of that world first variable compression engine. While its fuel economy was greatly improved, Infiniti really dumbed down the driving dynamics, so it's a much softer crossover, which, hey, it's probably what the competition wants, but the biggest problem with it is it's almost $60,000 fully loaded, and at that price, I would much rather get a lot of its European or Swedish competition. The next car to make this list goes to the 2018 Toyota Prius C. Now, I realize the Prius C is an inexpensive hybrid vehicle that was introduced like 6 years ago. However, the competition has really just moved farther ahead. Its price is no longer one of the least expensive ways you can get a hybrid vehicle. I mean, it is still very inexpensive, but for a couple thousand more, you can get a Hyundai Ioniq or a Honda Insight, which is just a superior vehicle in every way, which is why the Insight made one of the best compact cars I've driven this year. So really, Toyota, if they're going to keep the Prius C around, they need to obviously increase the fuel economy, increase the material quality in the interior. It just feels really cheap, and improve the acceleration. I mean, 98 horsepower is just unacceptable in today's day and age. So those of you who are looking for a cheaper hybrid vehicle, I would strongly recommend checking out the Honda Insight first before you sign your name on the lines of purchasing a Prius C. And of course, finally, the last vehicle to make the worst cars I drove in 2018 goes to the 2018 Maserati Quattroporte. Again, this wasn't going to be a list of all just inexpensive, cheap vehicles. The Maserati Quattroporte is a six-figure, full-size flagship luxury sedan, and honestly, that car surprised me the most. It was just a car that was so rough around the edges. I mean, it had a glorious, Ferrari-built V8 engine, but everything else about the car was just terrible, from its squeaky transmission selector, which Maserati did fix for 2019, to its just cheap fit and finish. It's got the Uconnect head unit there, which again is a great system in something like a Jeep Grand Cherokee, but in a six-figure Maserati with the Trident at the front was just unacceptable. Now, Maserati is working hard on improving their vehicles. The Levante is definitely that clear step in the right direction. But unfortunately for the Quattroporte, their flagship vehicle, it definitely will remind me constantly that Maserati is in the process of working to address their lineup. And if you guys are looking to spend six figures on a flagship luxury sedan, I would put that one at the very bottom of your list. So throughout 2018, I've probably driven at least 100 cars. So choosing my favorite vehicles out of that 100 car list is never an easy proposition. So for the 12 vehicles I talked about throughout this video, I tried to focus more on mainstream cars. I tried to, of course, include cars that were new for 2018. And then, of course, you guys know me, I like cars that feel a lot more expensive than their prices would suggest. Now, when choosing those winners, or at least the 7 winners, I also tried to focus on what you guys like. Vehicles that you guys tend to prefer to watch, cars that have higher sales numbers, because as you guys know, exotic cars are really nice to drive. I'm gonna put the suspension powertrain into its track mode here. Let's put this back up. I prefer that. And I'll try to brake torque it a little bit, see what it does. Oh my God! Holy shit! Man, that turbo lag's insane. The feeling I'm getting is like literally like my stomach is back there, oh my God, this car's scary. This car requires some balls to drive it, but most people can't really afford vehicles like that. Now, moving forward into 2019, things have been really good for Redline this year. Our subscriber count hit over 500,000. Our views have been up, and really we only have you guys to thank for all of that, because I wouldn't be doing all these videos and continuously trying to improve, and of course, reading all of your comments without all of your support. So I want to thank you guys personally for being here throughout the rest of the year. I'm looking forward to what 2019 is going to bring us. I have got big plans for the channel. As you guys know, the new branding, the new clothing apparel, and in January, I'm going to be literally gone for about 20 days out of the month, going between CES, between Detroit, and then of course all the new media drives coming up on all those new cars I've shown you guys at the auto shows in LA, and then with Detroit and New York coming up. But I hope you guys have enjoyed watching me throughout the years. I want to wish everyone a happy holidays, a happy New Year's, and of course, be sure to always keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you all in the next video. And in this past year, Redline has made some pretty extensive changes. Sorry, again, over the past year, and just to keep things. Sorry. I did. Sorry.
The cracks right there. We're pretty much the shadow of the power line.
Right here.
Yeah.
Right here. Okay. Views have been up. Everything's basically been up, so I really can't complain. It's been one incredible year in 2018. But I hope you guys. But I hope you guys have enjoyed watching me throughout the year.
You also didn't thank them once again. You
I know.
How great everything was.
Oh, fuck. God. This sucks.
We're gonna put a neon sign that says, "Thank you."
Thank you, yes. I'm sorry, I can't keep it all in my head right now. It's like, it's just hot. We just drove it.
I am ready when you are.
Ow, fuck. It's really hot. Ow, fuck. Rob, I can't. Oh, there it is. I see it. Okay. Okay. All right.
We probably put like what, maybe a mile off road?
No, less than that. Half a mile. Oh, here we go. Dildo.
Yeah, there you go.
This is interesting. Oh, ouch. So dildo is 45 miles. Okay, there's a Green Harbor. Where are we going again?
We are so.
But it does have a very comfortable interior. The exterior is also very attractive. And you know, what makes this thing really interesting, all right, let me redo that. I'm not feeling that one. I was like, all right, hold on. Talk about how it's boring to drive. Cheap, but I will save cheap for last. It's small. Yeah, it's cheap. Slow. Okay, like, all right, let's try. This is the key fob that it comes standard on the vehicle. It's the current Alpha key fob. It's gigantic. It does come with things like power liftgate, and it also has remote start. So if you just kind of tap this button here,
Nothing happens.
Rob, you ruined it. It started. It did. It took a long time. Kind of suit that factor as it sits at the higher end. Now, as you guys saw from the
What's wrong? You were good.
No, I didn't like that. I wasn't supposed to talk about that part there, the blingy part. That wasn't supposed to be there. I was supposed to go into the driving dynamics. So as full-size trucks continue to grow more technologically advanced, it certainly makes my job a lot more difficult in trying to decide. A lot of the brands are actually really impressive, and they.
Not as you guys saw, they
Can I just use the other one? I'm really mad.
Really, because now neither of us remember.
Altima for 2019. So today I've brought the Altima and I'm so today, okay, sorry. Should I redo that? The best-selling entry in the segment, a 2019 Camry. Okay. Bestseller. Okay. Today I've brought along the bestseller in the segment. Okay. Now I just forgot what I wanted to say. My first line. Sorry. Against the best-selling sales champ in the lineup, this 2019 Camry. I don't know if I like that. Sorry. Oh. So although sedans continue to lose ground to crossover sales here in America, that didn't stop Nissan from introducing an all-new version of the Altima for 2019. I'm like struggling this morning, sorry. So with Honda light truck sales being up significantly over the last few years because of America's huge... All right.